A preliminary hearing today for a woman accused of killing her twin sister. Police say 37-year-old Allison Dadao drove an SUV over the side of a cliff in Hawaii, plunging the vehicle 200 feet to the rocky bottom below. There it is. Amazing that anybody could survive. Well, the crash killed her sister Ann, but Allison did survive, taken to the hospital in critical condition, and then police arrested her on murder charges shortly after her release. They say Allison intentionally drove off the cliff, and there were no signs that she tried to stop before going over the ledge. Allison's lawyer, though, calling this a terrible tragedy and an overreach by prosecutors. But an eyewitness says the sisters were fighting right before the crash.
Allison did not intend to harm the person she was closest to in this world or herself.
I could see a pair of hands yanking on the driver's head. Just her head was going like this, and she was angrily, arguing with the person, whoever was yanking on her head, and then she was just in a rage.
Joining me now is Brian Claypool, a criminal defense attorney, and Yodit Tewelda, who is a criminal defense attorney and a former prosecutor. Good to see you both. Brian, you're skeptical about these charges, and I'm wondering why. I admit I was too, until I read the prosecution's evidence. You have not one but two eyewitnesses, and then you have the onboard computer that shows there was no effort to brake. So why do you think prosecutors have this wrong?
Well, Greg, first of all, this is a cliffside calamity, not a murder case. The first thing that I look for in evaluating a murder case is, why would the suspect murder somebody? And here we have no motive for her to kill anybody. There's no financial gain here.
Every day people get angry, they become despondent, their business was in the toilet. I mean, there are plenty of reasons.
Okay, well, let me ask you this then. Why would she risk killing herself then, driving over a cliff? Well, let's talk about that then. Is it possible that there was a mechanical malfunction in the car? Is it possible that when she was having her head grabbed by her sister and her head's being shaken, that her foot hits the gas pedal and drives over the cliff? There's two plausible options that have nothing to do with knowingly or intentionally wanting to kill a sister who you've lived with and loved your whole life.
Unless the sisters never got along. Yodit, as I understand it, you sort of agree with Brian here, but again, I bring up murder-suicide. Is there any difference between taking a gun and shooting and killing somebody and then turning the gun on yourself, but when you pull the trigger, you don't succeed?
Look, absent a confession by Allison that she tried to commit a murder-suicide, there's absolutely no evidence to suggest any intentional conduct on the part of Allison. We have to remember now, second-degree murder is the intentional or knowingly killing. When someone is tugging at someone's hair, it's also not unusual to hit the gas rather than the brakes. So I think that this case may be something that is going to be very hard for the state to prove.
It's second nature. When you've been driving, for more than a few years, you know where the brake is. It's right next to the accelerator. Come on.
But you're also being attacked by somebody who's in the driver's seat, and you don't know in that moment what your feet are doing at the time. Yeah. And we also don't know whether Ann grabbed the wheel. We don't know a lot of things, and I think that this case is extremely defensible. I think there's affirmative defenses that the defense can raise.
Yeah, I want to bring that up, Brian. In fact, there is an affirmative defense in Hawaii. I looked up the statute. We'll put it up on the screen. Murder is reduced to manslaughter if the defendant is under the influence of extreme mental or emotional disturbance for which there is a reasonable explanation. And it's the difference between life behind bars, Brian, and doing about 7 to 10.
Right. Greg, what that really is what's called a diminished capacity defense. And what that means is that Allison did not have the requisite intent to knowingly or intentionally kill her sister because she had some mental challenge. Or it's possible that this was heat of passion as well. That's another defense that she could use. But with that said, Greg, I don't think any of those apply. I think this is a knee-jerk reaction by the police department. They don't have any evidence of a homicide here, and they made a quick premature charge. Greg, one other quick point. Do we have any evidence of prior altercations between these twin sisters? Do we have any court documents that show a restraining order was issued?
Doors all the time. You guys know that. Come on. All right.
Okay.
Brian Yodid, good to see you. Thanks very much.